Allez, salut tout le monde les gens et bienvenue pour ce nouvel épisode sur le jeu The Raven Remastered, le corbeau, la remasterisation, si on dit en français. On va continuer, on était, alors pour la petite histoire, on est un policier suisse, je me souviens plus de son nom, merde, j'ai zappé son nom, qui est malheureusement tombé en plein milieu d'un truc, en fait il y a eu un vol dans un musée, comment dire, dans un musée en Angleterre, à Londres, d'un joyau très très précieux, qui était un double qui était à Zurich, donc en Suisse. Et donc ils ont décidé de faire un piège dans le train où était notre cher policier, avec Interpol qui transportait dans un coffre-fort ce coffre-fort où il y avait ce piège, on va dire ce piège, et malheureusement, le fameux corbeau, on ne sait pas si c'est, parce que apparemment c'est un célèbre cambrioleur qui ne tue pas, et là bizarrement il a changé son mode opératoire, sachant que le personnage de Legrand, qui est le policier français d'Interpol, l'aurait abattu. Voilà, l'aurait abattu, et apparemment, ça a donné lieu à des questionnements. Est-ce qu'il a vraiment abattu le corbeau, ou est-ce qu'il a abattu quelqu'un d'autre, un complice, ou quelque chose comme ça, ou est-ce que il a... c'est une nouvelle personne qui reprend le même mode opératoire et qui a changé quand même ses modes opératoires, parce qu'apparemment il ferait des victimes, alors qu'avant il n'en faisait pas. À voir. Là on sait toujours pas, là il se pose des questions dans le jeu, donc là l'histoire est bien amenée, on sait pas. En plus le jeu, vous pouvez faire, il y a aussi des petites des petits trucs secondaires que vous pouvez faire sans le savoir des fois, et découvrir des choses, donc c'est pas mal. Voilà, c'est pas alors c'est plus un point de clic d'enquête que de comment ça s'appelle, enquête, que de utiliser un objet pour pouvoir faire quelque chose comme ça. C'est plus enquête. C'est pas comme les Telltale où vous avez des textes, tout ça. Non, c'est plus ouais, vous avez du texte, mais c'est pas du texte à choix. Pas de texte à choix. Vous allez juste essayer de poser toutes les questions pour avoir le plus d'informations possible, et donc essayer de trouver des éléments pas facilement, mais plus facile avec vos déductions. Il est pas mal. Donc là, on a quitté le train, et en fait le train allait jusqu'à Venise. En fait c'est l'Orient Express, c'est un genre de train Orient Express en fait. Et, donc là qui partait de Zurich jusqu'à Venise. Et après il y avait un bateau qui va de Venise jusqu'au Caire. Donc là voilà, nous on n'était pas, donc notre personnage, le policier, donc le policier là-bas, le policier. Donc là c'est l'autre côté, c'est le grand que j'ai dessiné. Je savais même pas parce que c'était sur les images. Donc là-bas c'est le grand, et voilà. Moi quand je fais mes overlays, je prends les personnages qui apparaissent sur les images des trucs. Hein. Ils mettaient ce personnage du policier qu'on voit aussi au-dessus, au plein milieu de l'image, et ils mettaient l'autre avec ses lunettes qui est donc le grand. Et donc ce qui se passe, c'est que voilà, je décide ces persos sans savoir si c'est les personnages principaux ou pas. Donc voilà, donc on est arrivé nous jusqu'à Venise avec le train, sans être invité sur le bateau. On était invité sur le bateau, mais on était invité à juste fouiller des diverses caisses, parce que on avait vu une caisse un peu suspecte avant de monter sur le bateau. On soupçonnait qu'il y avait peut-être quelqu'un. Notre policier avait l'air de soupçonner qu'il y avait quelqu'un. Habitué de lire des trucs policiers, il s'est dit il y a peut-être un truc. Les autres ils disaient arrête de lire les livres policiers, toi tu fais, je vais quand même voir. Et il n'avait pas tort, il y avait quelqu'un. Sauf que apparemment il y a quelqu'un, il y avait bien quelqu'un. Apparemment c'était plutôt un clandestin. Et alors que sur un passager clandestin, je veux dire. Et donc alors que sur apparemment il y aurait une autre personne sur le bateau qui fasse des méfaits meurtriers, quoi. Des méfaits, des meurtres. Ah, alors, meurtrier. Voilà, je cherchais le mot, mais... Et elle a cette personne, qu'on ne sait pas qui c'est, a tué la baronne, qui était la personne qui permettait que le financement du coffre-fort qui permettait d'acheminer le fameux deuxième joyau jusqu'au Caire puisse se faire. Donc personne est décédée. Donc là on est en plein milieu de ça. Là on cherche encore des indices pour savoir comment la personne a pu rentrer dans la cabine, en sortir sans se faire repérer. Est-ce que c'est quelqu'un qui est déjà sur le bateau? Est-ce que c'est quelqu'un qui arrivait qui était déjà sur le bateau, qui arrivait en même temps que nous, ou après nous, pas sûr que ce soit pendant le trajet, mais bon. On va voir, on va continuer. Vous avez toujours les objets disponibles. Ouais. Alors c'est quoi que j'ai comme objet là?
Small, even stones. Probably easier to handle on a ship than real soil. The Sibling brand reel from the Baroness's cabin. The tape that came on it and the reel that belongs to the player are both gone.
Yeah.
I wonder what information Legrand is keeping from me. If I didn't know better, I'd say he was hiding something.
J'arrive à récupérer la bouteille d'eau, est-ce que je peux faire autre chose? On peut pas faire grand chose ici, là, je crois encore. Je crois que j'étais venu ici, le pot savon. Cliquez 2 fois. Il faut cliquer 2 fois pour aller plus vite. Ah, il y a un truc là, entre dans le salon, ouais. Dans le salon, toujours la même.
I shouldn't bother her until I have... Her mind is still razor sharp and I'll need it to crack this case.
Oui, c'est vrai qu'on a... On a la dame qui... laquelle... sur laquelle elle aime bien ses romans. Romans policiers, on va dire. Elle est très...
Alcoholic drinks and everything that goes with them is top notch on this ship. As expected, fresh ice and tongs.
Constable Zelda, what is the meaning of that? Are even the police light-fingered nowadays?
I need this tool for a criminal investigation.
Well, then, why didn't you say so? But bring the tongs back when you're done. Otherwise, I'll have cold fingers all day.
I'm sure Captain DeConti wouldn't mind a chat, but I'd...
Ok, y a autre chose.
How wonderful. Sunshine and a blue sky above the Mediterranean Sea. It would be a perfect cruise day, if not for the murder.
Ok, à quoi peut me servir la... On peut bien me servir... Attends, mais on peut... Ah, pourquoi je me casse par là? Tant pis. Attends, est-ce que la pince... Ouais, si on peut... Si, là, dans ce jeu, si ça indique que l'on peut le faire...
There's something in there. Ah.
Là.
Someone stuffed this in the vase. Looks like it's been used to muffle a gunshot. If this isn't an important discovery, I don't know what is. Legrand, here I come.
Ok, c'était pour étouffer... c'était sûr qu'il y a un truc pour étouffer le tir, pour pas qu'on l'entende. Mais c'est bizarre, on en a entendu un autre. Donc, d'où vient l'autre tir? Bizarre. Je vais sauvegarder parce que j'ai toujours un peu peur que ça plante sur ce jeu. Et on va écraser. Hein. Attendez, j'ai bien sauvegardé. Toujours bien vérifié. Alors donc là on a un élément en plus. Donc là on a un truc pour couvrir le... On va aller... Il parlait de Legrand, donc on va lui ramener.
A singed pillowcase is proof that there must have been a second gunshot.
Ah, c'est un thé doré.
Spectre?
Can't you knock?
I didn't realize. I'm really...
I'm not getting anywhere. I'm going to question each passenger individually. Anyone without an airtight alibi will be checked for gunshot residue.
But, Inspector...
People trip up when you put pressure on them, Constable Zellner. The Raven is nervous. He's changed his methodology and become a murderer. I'll see it in his eyes. After you.
But, Inspector Legrand... We have no proof that the Raven and the murderer are the same person. Quite the opposite. The Baroness's message hints at the fact that she knew the murderer and that he'd killed before.
You may not know it, but I do. I will catch him with or without your help.
I don't believe it. What's gotten into him? Oh, well. It makes no sense to tell him about my theories if his opinion is already set. I need evidence. Or better yet, the murderer. I also need his lab if I'm going to get anywhere. I need to get in there somehow. And I really need to talk to the stowaway. He may have information, and the inspector will just ignore him since he's too young to be the Raven.
Dans la porte.
Legrand locked the door. The lock isn't especially secure. If I had a wire or something like that, I could probably pick it.
Est-ce que y aurait pas la...
The death of his mistress doesn't really bother Inch. He's only worried about his own future.
Mr. Kreutzer, come on, you have to give me a bit more. You're the only one who was on the train and who has no alibi for last night.
As I said, I was in my cabin.
Are you sure that it was your cabin and not the Baroness's?
Legrand will question the guests, one after another. But if he doesn't get the answers that he wants to hear, it could become unpleasant for them. Lady Westmacott, may I bother you for a moment?
By all means, Mr. Zellner.
Interrogator.
How is the questioning going?
Are you implying that I'm an eavesdropper? The inspector is placing a lot of pressure on our dear Mr. Kreutzer. He's the only one who was on the train and who doesn't have an alibi for last night.
Perhaps. But him? A murderer?
I know people like him. He doesn't have enough backbone to kill someone in cold blood and remain so calm. He'd turn it into a drama, and then a farce. Drink himself insensible, and then, railing at fate, pitch himself into the sea. Forget him. Legrand is wasting his time. Mr. Kreutzer just happens to be a perfect fit for the inspector's image of the Raven.
Athletic, cultured, moves among the rich and famous.
I'll eat his violin if he's the Raven or the murderer.
I have to be going, Lady Westmacott.
Please keep me informed, Constable Zellner.
Of course. Mr. Kreutzer clearly feels uneasy. But does Legrand actually think he's the Raven? Legrand is absorbed in the interrogation. He still seems pretty annoyed. The violinist seems to be bearing the brunt of it. Mr. Kreutzer clearly feels uneasy. Legrand will attend to the... I won't talk to him again until I'm ready to present the murderer.
Non, sur le pont arrière. Oh tiens.
Captain DeConti seems old and tired. The price you pay for a life like his, I suppose. I'm sure Captain DeConti wouldn't mind it.
C'est vrai qu'on l'a pas vu elle, depuis le début.
Miss Mayers seems to have found an opportunity to do nothing. Hello, Miss Mayers.
Hello, Mr.
Constable Zellner.
Hop.
Do you think it's appropriate to go sunbathing in a situation like this?
What situation?
A woman was murdered last night.
If refusing to sunbathe could bring the dead back to life, I'd go back to my cabin immediately.
Did you hear or see anything suspicious last night?
No, I didn't feel very well last night. I went to bed early.
So, you're feeling better this morning?
Thanks for asking.
I'm sure your parents are truly sorry that they can't be with you at this difficult time.
Maybe, but I'm not a little girl anymore. And thinking about my fiancé keeps me going.
You're engaged?
Yes. My boyfriend and I got engaged right before the trip. I want to surprise my parents, especially my dad.
I'm sure he'll be very surprised. But what will you do if your father doesn't agree to the engagement?
What choice does he have when he put me on this boat full of thieves and murderers in the first place?
Charming. Enjoy the sun, Miss Mayers, and don't let us disturb you.
If you're trying to make me feel guilty, Constable, it's not working.
Après, est-ce que c'est pas elle Et le personnage qu'on se dit il sert à rien, c'est lui des fois. Je pense qu'on va aller revoir le... On l'avait pas vu lui depuis un moment. Il y a qui là-bas hein?
Matt is keeping himself busy with that strange game. He seems to be okay again, but I think he'd be running around all over the place if he'd really come to terms with what happened on the train.
On va lui parler.
Hello there, partner.
Hi.
Are you all right?
Uh-huh.
Have you recovered from our adventure?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Zellner,
Hmm?
what's going on?
What do you mean?
Everybody's acting so strange, and there's tape across that door. I saw that in a movie once.
You don't have to be worried.
Is it about the man from the train?
It might be about the thief, yes.
Haven't you caught him yet?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I
Maman.
heard you and your mom used to argue a lot.
We did. Everything was bad. The house, school, the other kids. We didn't have much money, and I was always alone.
You do know that your mother would love to have been with you, don't you? She had to go out to work to earn money.
She wouldn't have had to, if Dad were still around.
And how do you get along with her now?
I'm always happy when we do something together on vacation. She has more time for me now, and I like my boarding school. I have lots of friends, and the teachers aren't so bad.
Your mother and Professor Lucien seem to be on very good terms with each other. Don't you like him?
Don't know.
He seems to be very nice.
I guess.
Hop.
Lady Westmacott is all by herself in the saloon. Maybe you'd like to visit her later.
Sure, the lady tells exciting stories.
I know. She's my favorite writer.
She told me that it's not much fun to write detective novels. She'd rather write something else, but her fans always want the same thing.
They made her rich and famous.
I told her to write what she wants to write. If it's good, someone will buy it. And if not, at least she had fun writing it. Then she smiled and nodded. She said it was a good idea.
What are you playing there?
I'm playing shuffleboard. At least I'm trying to.
Never played it before.
It's easy. Professor Lucien explained it to me.
And who won?
We didn't play.
You didn't want to play with him, did you? Do you want to play a game with me?
Sure.
En vrai, déjà voir.
Explain the rules to me first.
Okay,
Voilà.
you play with the blue pucks and I play with the red ones. You have to push the pucks with this stick into the zone over there and score as many points as possible.
Sounds easy. How many pucks do I have?
6. Now here comes the kicker. First it's your turn, then mine, and so on. But everyone is allowed to shoot the other person's pucks out of the zone.
D'accord.
Then let's get started.
Oh
petit-
yeah.
Un petit jeu dans le jeu.
I thought we'd just play for fun.
That's boring. We have to bet something. Otherwise it isn't fun.
You English people.
So I bet my brand new slingshot. And you?
I don't want to gamble.
How about ice cream in Cairo?
Okay. If I win, I get the slingshot. If I lose, I get an ice cream in Cairo.
Hey! Never try to cheat Matt Miller. So, what do you say? Ice cream versus slingshot?
All right. Let the games begin.
Je joue comme ça. Ah. Il faut pas y aller trop fort. Ah, il commence déjà fort le... Il fait 9. Il peut me le dégager. Ah mais j'ai tout... Ok, je suis toujours dans la merde. Alors je dis. Bah, il va gagner. Bah, il a gagné.
Rats.
Haha, I win. That's one ice cream for me.
You've been practicing. This time I'll win.
Nah.
Je pense qu'il doit y avoir un truc pour gagner. En fait, où on gagne, mais il faut... Je fais toujours 9, je sais. Alors j'ai appuyé un peu trop. Ça fait 8. Mais il va me pousser. Là. Tu as combien là? Comme ça je lui enlève des points. Ça va va être dur. Il va falloir pousser fort. Poussez, monsieur, poussez. Ah, je suis sur 2 et putain, je l'ai pas poussé assez fort, j'ai décalé. Là, bien sûr, il se fait encore plus de points. Pas que je suis trop décalé non plus. Ok. Putain, il gagne encore.
I win again. That's another ice cream.
This time,
Nah.
Est-ce qu'il donne réellement la fronde? C'est ça le truc? Comment ça? J'ai même pas tiré le truc. On me met à 5. Voilà, il va se mettre sur le 10. Comment ça je le rate? Oh, ça devrait être interdit ça, de le rater. Merde non, ah je voulais pas faire ça, putain, je lui donne tous les points là. Ah j'ai fait de la merde, je vais le donner tout.
this
Nah.
On retente une dernière fois mais je pense que... Oh je suis pas sur le bon truc. Je veux pas tirer trop fort parce que sinon je vais le balancer. Voilà, je perds des points et je lui en redonne. Ah non, oula, oula, oula. Voilà. Il va rester sur le 9 sans bouger trop. Ça devrait être bon. Il va en mettre un, mais il va le mettre où? Ouais, j'ai plus de points.
that's it.
Oh man.
The athlete wins the day.
One more time.
No, that's enough for me.
All right. Here,
Are you sure?
gambling debts are debts of honor.
I'll give it back to you when I don't need it anymore, okay?
Okay, but make sure my mom doesn't catch you with it. She thinks it's dangerous.
Ok, Madame Miller et... On va lui parler, c'était rigolo.
Miss Miller and the professor are talking intensely. She seems pretty relaxed, by her standards. Good morning, Miss Miller. Professor Lucien?
Constable Zellner, how are you? I heard you passed out last night.
Well, not quite. I was poisoned.
Oh.
That wretch!
La nuit dernière.
Who do you mean by that wretch?
That stowaway! That new Raven!
The young man can't be the murderer. Constable Oliver had already apprehended him when the shot was fired.
You mean...
Whoever killed the Baroness is still on the loose.
I think I should take my leave. I'd like to rest for a while.
One last question, Professor.
L'œil
Do
du
you think
cinq.
the eye is well protected in the safe in Legrand's cabin?
Of course it is. They assured me that it would take hours of work with heavy machinery to crack the safe. And if Legrand isn't in his cabin, Constable Oliver or I check that everything is in order every hour.
I understand.
I
Les
will go
heures,
back to my cabin. I'll see you later, Mary.
Oh, of course. See you later.
On va parler à elle, peut-être nous donner... Est-ce qu'on peut lui demander un truc pour crocheter?
I didn't want to interrupt your conversation with Professor Lucien so abruptly.
I don't know what's wrong with him.
Learning that there's still a burglar on board seemed to frighten him.
He was so relaxed the whole time, and then...
And then the stupid Swiss constable came by and made him anxious.
Oh, I didn't mean that.
No matter. I'm sure he'll calm down and come back soon enough. May I ask you a few questions?
Of course.
Matt.
How is Matt? He seems happy enough.
After all the commotion, he's already back to his old self again. But I haven't told him about the murder. That would be a bit too much for him.
I think he's made of sterner stuff.
I want to thank you again for what you did on the train. I wouldn't have known.
Everything's fine. Think nothing of it.
La nuit dernière.
How was last night for you?
It was awful. I was having a conversation with Edgar, Professor Lucien, here on the forecastle. Then I wanted to look for the lady and went forward via the side deck. When I passed the Baroness's cabin, I heard a muffled scream.
You heard a scream?
Yes. I thought the Baroness probably had a fall. I went to the door and listened for a moment. Since I couldn't hear anything, I knocked on the door and asked whether she was all right. There was no answer.
Interesting. And then?
I didn't know what to do, so I tried to open the door. It was locked. I saw the Baroness's butler, Mr. Inch, on the forecastle. I thought he might have the key and went back. On the way, the bobby crossed my path, and then Edgar, who wanted to check the safe. I explained the situation to him, and then the alarm went off.
Le cri.
How did the scream sound?
It was a short outcry, very frightened, as if someone had been startled.
Was it a woman's voice?
Yes, the voice was high.
So it could have been a scream from the Baroness. Possibly because she discovered someone in her cabin.
Possibly.
That person might have threatened her with a weapon, so that she wouldn't scream for help.
Oh, God.
He waited until the coast was clear.
Oh, please, stop it, Mr. Zellner.
Majordome.
The Baroness's butler said that he was on the forecastle as well?
Yes, he was standing on the other side of the deck smoking a cigarette.
Was he on the forecastle the whole time?
I'm not sure. He was there, and later he was on the side deck with us. Oh, yes, he looked after you while you were unconscious. He unbuttoned your collar and held your head while the doctor checked you.
But you can't say for certain whether he came from the forecastle with you and Professor Lucien, or afterwards.
Well, no. But where else could he have come from?
Enquête de Legrand.
Did you report that to Inspector Legrand?
Yes, last night. He was very interested and took a lot of notes. But I wanted to look for Lady Westmacott, and he let me go without further delay. He said that he'd take down my full statement today.
I understand.
Do you think the man from the train also killed the Baroness, Constable Zellner?
I don't know yet.
It's horrible. Explosions, thieves, murderers. This isn't the right place for a lady and a little boy.
Hop, Professeur
You
Lucien.
and Professor Lucien seem to be having a lively conversation.
Oh, yes. He's an expert in ancient Egyptian art and preeminent in hieroglyphic research. He's the head of the Egyptian department in the British Museum, you know. And he's going to open an exhibition at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo.
Right. For the eye.
They had planned on exhibiting both jewels together for the first time in decades, but that's not going to happen now, sadly. I think it's quite upsetting for him.
We're working hard to ensure that at least one eye will be on display.
I know. I'll ask Lady Westmacott if she'd like to participate in the opening of the exhibition. I think it would be good for her.
And Professor Lucien will surely offer you a private tour.
Est-ce que vous êtes en
You're
Maoïka?
American, aren't you?
That's correct.
And you moved to England because of the job?
I lived in England before. During the Second World War, I volunteered. I worked in a pharmacy on a US base north of London.
In a pharmacy? Interesting.
Well, it was the war and everyone was sent where they could help best.
Please go on, Mrs. Miller.
After the war, I studied music in London. I met my husband there. We married and went back to the States together.
He was also American?
No, English. But he said he had problems with his family and he wanted to be as far from them as possible.
And you gave up your studies for him?
Well, yes, I did.
Mais célibataire.
As a single mother, couldn't have been easy.
It was pretty tough then. I worked from morning till night and it was still only enough for the bare necessities. And I couldn't give Matt all the attention he needed.
And then Lady Westmacott entered your life.
It was like an angel appeared to me. She must have offered me the position out of pity. I had no experience as a carer. She made me a generous offer. I couldn't believe it. And she really adores Matt. She's offered him a good education, and now he has every opportunity in life.
An almost unbelievable story.
I'm still afraid that it's a dream and that I'll wake up one day.
Lady
How
Westmacott.
does it feel to work for such a world-famous person?
The work is very interesting and varied, and it pays well too.
You are very lucky that the lady offered the position to you.
I just hope she won't change her mind one day. What would become of Matt's education then? I really make an effort to measure up to Lady Westmacott's expectations, but sometimes I feel like I fall short.
Lady Westmacott couldn't ask for a better companion.
I'm saving up as much money as I can all the same. I'd do anything so that Matt doesn't have to give up his new life.
Inspecteur partout.
Lady Westmacott dropped a hint on the train that she killed her hero, Partout. What did she mean by that?
Oh, she must have meant the manuscript.
Manuscript?
She always takes it with her. It's an unpublished Partout novel. I once asked her why she never published it. She said that according to her will, the novel's only to be published after her death.
And in it, Partout will be killed?
Maybe. I've never read it. No one has. You'd better ask her yourself.
If you worked in a pharmacy, you would certainly know something about medicines and poisons.
Everything is a potential poison, Constable. It depends on the dose.
Have you ever heard of chloral hydrate?
It's a tranquilizer, isn't it?
I'm asking you.
Well, Lady Westmacott also asked questions like that for her last novel. But since I've never wanted to kill anyone, I never bothered with things like strychnine and arsenic and all that. I could recommend something for a headache, a sore throat, or rash.
That's kind of you, but there's really no need. I'll be seeing you, Miss Miller.
Constable?
Ok, est-ce que je peux parler à lui pour essayer de voir si je peux aller interroger l'autre? Parce que là, l'autre, au bout d'un moment...
What do you want?
Inspector Legrand is questioning the first of the passengers in the saloon.
And?
It will be hours before he gets to the stowaway.
And?
We'll save time if I question him.
We'd also save time if you stopped asking me the same things over and over again. I will not let you in. What time is it, by the way?
Got an appointment?
No, but I'm hungry.
Go and get yourself something. I'll mind the door in the meantime.
Ha ha. You could bring me something, though.
On va lui demander.
So, what do you want to eat?
Oh, anything. An apple or something like that.
Leave it with me.
Yeah, thanks.
Peut-être le soudoyer. On pourrait dire débrouillez-vous, mais je pense qu'il nous aurait demandé quand même. On va aller dans le salon. On va peut-être monter, il y a peut-être des gens... poser des questions.
Lady Westmacott, may I bother you for a moment?
By all means, Mr. Zellner.
Did Miss Miller cope with all the excitement?
I think so. But what happened on the train was quite a shock for her. She wouldn't be able to go on if something happened to Matthew.
She's worried about him.
He's all she has. It breaks her heart that he lives at a boarding school and can't always be with her. But she sets her wishes and needs aside so that he can get a good education. That's her way.
père de Matthew.
Where's Matthew's father?
Gone. Run off. Ran away from his problems again. He drank a lot. More and more after each setback. It's better for both of them this way.
He left her.
She couldn't have borne it. She loved him and wanted to stick by him. She fell out with her family over him. They couldn't understand her. And when he left her, the ground opened up beneath her feet. For 2 weeks, she was as good as dead. If she didn't have Matthew, she'd be dead.
You seem to know a lot about it. I mean, about the time before Miss Miller began working for you.
I have my reasons.
And Matthew, do you care as deeply about the children of your other employees?
If you fail with your own child, you hope to do better with others, Constable.
And the idea to send Matt to a boarding school
was mine. Matthew idolized his father and blamed his mother for the fact that he wasn't around anymore. I was afraid the situation would escalate if he had to live on a country estate alone with his mother and some old people. I think I was right. He quickly made friends at boarding school. He's popular, well-liked, a real athlete according to his teachers, and his relationship with his mother has improved as well. He's headed in the right direction.
Précieux manuscrit.
Miss Miller told me that you have a valuable manuscript with you.
That is correct.
An unpublished Part 2 novel. The manuscript must be worth a fortune.
Oh, it's not just any Part 2 novel. I wrote it 20 years ago, but it will only be published after my death. It's Part 2's last case. Maurice Part 2 dies.
You're going to kill him off?
I already have. And I enjoyed it.
Madam.
I was so sick of writing one Part 2 novel after another. I was keen to stick a knife in his guts. And so, 20 years ago, I did. Of course, I didn't want to disappoint my fans, so I let him solve case after case. But at least I was certain that he'd never escape me, that in the end, I would get him.
I understand. Let's just hope that this novel remains unpublished for many more years. I have to be going, Lady Westmacott.
Please keep me informed, Constable Zellner.
Of course.
Qu'il peut nous permettre d'avoir de la bouffe.
I'm sure Captain DeCant...
On peut pas aller... Ah, prendre quelque chose à manger. Mais... Ouais, c'est vrai qu'il est con.
Whatever Constable Oliver wants, he's getting ham and eggs.
Des jambons et des œufs. Un anglais. Jambon et des œufs, il en mange ça au déjeuner, quoi.
A pinch of salt for our friendly constable.
Ah ouais, il lui met juste... il lui met ma selle pour qu'il...
Constable Oliver.
Huh?
Ham and eggs, piping hot.
Oh, I shouldn't really.
I don't see anyone here who'd rebuke you. It was a hard night.
Yeah, true. Oh, delicious. Just enough salt. Oh, that was good of you. Cheers.
You don't expect me to wash your dirty dishes as well, do you?
Oh, of course not, Your Majesty. Oh, that was a proper meal and no mistake.
Constable Oliver is drinking the water he brought along. Without it, he'd get very thirsty. The constable is quenching his thirst with a bottle of water. You'll have a problem when it's empty.
On peut pas parler... Attends.
He could be more cooperative, but in the end, no reason to shoot.
Non mais on a des...
The little stones make perfect ammunition for the slingshot. Now I just need a suitable target.
Une petite fronde.
All right.
Ow! 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 Ah! Hey, Zelda, what in blazes was that?
What?
Something hit me!
You mean someone shot at you?
Yes, well, no, I don't know. Didn't you notice anything?
I was riveted by the fantastic view. We Swiss aren't used to seeing the horizon like this.
And my bottle's broken too. Oh, I don't believe this. Could you bring me something to drink? Those ham and eggs were pretty salty.
I'm sorry. I have to proceed with my investigations. Goodbye. Let's see how long he can resist his thirst. Not long at all.
Pas longtemps. Ouais, donc ça nous permet d'y rentrer direct. Et donc d'aller interroger le gars.
Nervous? I would be too in your position.
Et de savoir qui il est.
Who are you?
My name is Adil, and you are...
Constable Zellner. Why did you sneak onto the ship, Adil?
I wanted to go back home.
You're Egyptian?
There's no work for me in Italy. I want to see my family again.
And since you don't have money, you stowed away.
So what if I did?
Pourquoi vous m'avez assommé?
It was you who knocked me out.
Me? Never.
No? Where were you when I was attacked?
Well, I couldn't take anything with me on this trip, so I snuck into the kitchen and took some canned goods.
Interesting. And how do you know when I was attacked?
Well, I thought it was yesterday, shortly before we set sail.
I take this bump personally.
Meurtre.
What were you searching for on deck last night?
I was hiding the whole evening. I wanted to go out and get some fresh air, see the stars. But then suddenly, they were looking for me.
Were you in one of the cabins?
No!
Did you see anyone on the deck or on the roof?
No!
And after we arrested you?
The English policeman put me in this cell. Then he left. I've been here ever since.
And you didn't notice anything along the way?
No, nothing.
Coup de feu.
What about the gunshot? Didn't you hear it?
Yes. The English policeman had already arrested me. We heard a bang and looked around.
And then?
Then, the Bobby was in a hurry to get rid of me. He almost pushed me down the stairs and locked me in here. He left, and then a short time later, the alarm went off.
Constable Oliver wasn't with you anymore when the alarm went off?
No. I was scared that the ship would sink with me sitting here like a rat in a trap.
It's hard for me to believe a single word of your story.
Because I'm a foreigner?
Because you seem to have learned our language in the space of a day. Accent-free.
Believe what you want.
Oui, qui parle très bien.
Need you to distract us.
What?
You went for a walk around the deck and let yourself be seen. Everyone goes off hunting you, and in the meantime, your partner shoots the Baroness in peace.
No, I didn't do anything. I didn't want to distract anyone. I just want to go home.
You're a liar, and a bad one at that.
But sir, I'm telling the truth.
And I'm the Raven. Inspector Legrand will deal with you. He's lying like a cheap rug. But he probably doesn't know anything about the murder. Very disappointing. So I have to keep searching. What interests me most is the shot that was fired here in the cargo hold last night.
Alors, on va examiner.
Whoever fired the shot hit the crate. Did the shooter just want to intimidate me? Or maybe he needed the bullet? Can't see anything. If the bullet is still stuck in the wood, it's too deep to reach with my fingers.
La pince. Ça glaçon, ça peut marcher.
No. The bullet hole is too small for the tongs.
Ça veut dire que ça marchait.
can't see, and if the cargo hold also seems to serve as a changing room for the crew, at least for the ones who don't wear white uniforms.
Ouvrons les casiers. Il y en a d'autres.
A stroke of luck. The lock is open. Oil-stained overalls. And here, an old toolbox. It's been through a lot. Hardly any paint, dented, and the lid is held shut by a wire. I'll take it with me. Some wrenches, a bit of wire wool, an oily cloth, and here, a screwdriver.
Un tournevis. Le tournevis, ça devrait le faire. Comme ça, ouais, c'est bon.
Well, I think the bullet is still in the wood. I'm not a weapons specialist, but at first sight I'd say that this bullet looks exactly the same as the one Dr. Gebhardt gave me for Legrand. That would mean that the murderer also fired a shot here in the cargo hold before the murder. But why? Did they just want to make sure the old guns still worked? Or was it something else? And did the bullet really come from the same gun? I can only check that in Legrand's cabin.
Je crois que là on a du fil de fer, donc on va peut-être pouvoir faire un petit truc pour crocheter.
That takes the biscuit.
I noticed that the door was unguarded. I just wanted to make sure that everything was all right.
Tell it to Legrand. He's expressly forbidden anyone to speak to the witness before he does.
Hop,
All right, let's go to Legrand and tell him what happened. You fell asleep and then you left the door unguarded. Well, are we going?
No, but don't try it again.
Of course not.
C'est bon, de toute façon on a trouvé... Ce qu'on cherchait, on va aller... voir peut-être le laboratoire de l'autre. Je sais pas si les fils de fer vont nous servir. J'espère que oui. Ah si, s'il y a un truc qui nous indique qu'on peut le faire, c'est qu'on peut le faire.
The lock isn't especially secure. I should be able to open it with the wire from the cargo hold.
Voilà. Ah. On doit... Qu'est-ce que je dois faire? Il y a un truc spécial, je dois appuyer sur les touches. Ah. Ah d'accord, ok. Ouais, ça va être un peu compliqué là, je crois, non? D'où? Moins fort, pareil pour lui. C'est un peu plus haut, là un peu plus haut. Les deux là. Fort. Compliqué ça. On peut le faire comme ça. On peut pas le voir dans un autre angle, le machin, non, c'est pas possible. Oh, je sais si c'est bon. C'est embêtant ça. Je vois pas trop ce qu'il faut faire. Donc. Ok, bon. Je peux plus le ramener? Attends, bug? Ah ok, il faut cliquer 2 fois. Pareil, passer haut. Elle doit être tous au même niveau, c'est ça? Passer bas. Légèrement un peu plus haut. Ça. Un peu pour l'autre. Passer haut. Ah d'accord, il faut que ça soit les traits qui soient au bon endroit, c'est ça. Il est trop haut. Il est trop haut. Voilà. Il y a la ligne. En fait, il faut que la ligne noire soit entre les coudes du truc argenté, de la tige du dessus. Ça valait que ce soit au milieu. Ok, ça a été un peu long.
A lock master and son. Tough to crack. If I wanted to steal the eye, I'd concentrate on getting the 3 keys. If everything goes according to plan, the first time this monster is opened will be in the museum in Cairo. Fingers crossed.
La literie.
Neatly folded and unused. Legrand hasn't slept since we cast off, nor on the train.
C'est fou.
Legrand must have taken and developed the photos himself. He even made copies and enlargements. He seems to be prepared for everything, with access to more resources than a normal detective.
Examinons l'alarme.
It was tripped at some point, but there's no way to determine when.
Son bureau.
This is the pipe from the cargo hold. Legrand seems to have inspected it for fingerprints. I can still make out the powder. No. Nothing to see on the end of the pipe that the attacker held. Either he wore gloves, or he cleaned the pipe. There's nothing written on the bottle. I suppose it's some sort of stimulant, legal or not. Legrand has been awake for at least 30 hours straight. Maybe.
Se drogue. Parce que pour pas dormir.
I shudder to think what kind of side effects this stuff might have. A policeman on a murder investigation should have his wits about him. The risk that he could miss evidence or endanger himself and others is too high.
Rien d'autre. Quoi, il se drogue pour essayer de tenir le...
Aha! That's the bullet the doctor removed from the Baroness's corpse.
Est-ce que je peux recouper balle de la soute et balle de la...
Legrand's file on the Raven. Centimeters thick, but totally useless. We're not dealing with the Raven. Why can't he see that? Our man is ruthless, a bomber, and quite probably a murderer. This file belongs in a museum. It's history. The inspector should concentrate on the present.
Ok. Photo.
A microscope. Looks like the one that Lutz Reichinger uses in his pharmacy, just more modern. There's nothing on the slide, and therefore nothing to see. Okay.
Faut l'analyser.
I need the second bullet for a comparison.
C'est ce que je fais. Que j'allais faire.
All right.
Il faut mettre en évidence que ce soit les mêmes. Que les traits soient... Les traits, là je crois que c'est les traits qui sont là. Attends. Ça a pas l'air de correspondre. Ah, non. Non. Ah. Ça c'est les traits quand la balle part du pistolet quoi. Ça passe dans le canon donc il y a les mêmes rayures. Si c'est le même pistolet, c'est les mêmes rayures, les mêmes trucs. Donc là on devrait avoir non là c'est pas bon. Ah. Pour rien. Là ça se touche même pas. C'est pas coordonné pareil. Ça non plus. On va y arriver, non? Un truc que je peux faire bouger, non? Voilà. Ils sont trop loin les uns des autres. Aussi. Rien, toujours pas. Attends, mais il y a plusieurs trucs arriver. Là il y a un trait, là il y a un trait, là il y a un trait. Il faut que ça soit les mêmes ou faut que... Ça a l'air creux, ça a l'air d'être une bosse, donc est-ce que ça serait pas plutôt ça? Pas si ça correspond, mais...
That's the proof.
Ah.
Whoever shot the Baron
C'est bizarre, j'y suis passé.
fired the shot in the cargo hold. What could that mean?
Ah, on peut examiner ce bureau. Ah mais non, ça on l'a déjà fait. Boîte de prélèvement.
A masterpiece. Forensic teams use kits like these, placing increasing importance on the preservation of evidence. But not in Switzerland yet. It's a small lab used to conduct simple analysis on site. All right, what have we got here?
Et c'est dans le caoutchouc.
Aha! This is some kind of inventory list. For each chemical, it lists the chemical composition and a short comment on how to use it. And here's a list of the most important procedures. Fingerprints, gunshot residue, blood. I don't have to analyze the pillow and feathers to determine whether there's gunshot residue. I can smell it. And I don't have any other clues at the moment. What's this? Oh, how practical. A hermetically sealed
Ah, des contournes.
swab for collecting samples. I'll take it. A small glass bowl for mixing chemicals.
D'accord.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Fingerprints are overrated. Smart thieves wear gloves, or they make sure that there are too many fingerprints at the crime scene to check them all. I'm sure Legrand could work magic in this alchemist lab. Me, I'm just awestruck. For forensics in the woods or the open country, I suppose. No use on a ship. Good Lord. Good Lord. Half of the tools in this box would be interesting for an archaeologist as well. Actually, forensics and archaeology are really quite similar to each other. The goal is to find out what happened, whether a few hours ago or a few centuries ago.
Ah mais oui, mais on met le tiroir. Et je pense que ça serait bien d'aller voir la chambre de la baronne, mais s'il y a la tache de sang. Donc la tache de sang pourrait nous permettre de savoir, en plus c'est à côté donc ça va. D'avoir les cotons-tiges, ça va nous permettre de récupérer cette tache. morceau de ce truc.
I always wanted to do that. That should be enough.
Allez, maintenant on va devoir savoir comment détecter le sang, c'est ça, avec le tout le bordel. Donc heureusement qu'il y a le manuel qui nous indique, je pense. On va lire le manuel.
Wasn't there something about blood samples? Fingerprints, gunshot residue, blood. Well, it explains how to confirm that something is blood. That's a start. You have to mix luminol and a hydrogen peroxide solution and then drip or spray the mixture on the blood. The solution turns blue and glows even if there's just a very small amount of blood. Okay then, luminol and hydrogen peroxide.
Luminol, il est où le luminol?
Aha, hydrogen peroxide solution. Aha, luminol.
Non, on prend le...
I think it's better to drip the solution on the swab instead of dipping the swab into the solution. Maybe oxygen is an issue, or it doesn't work if you use too much of the solution.
Ah, la pipette sur le truc de...
First, I need to get the solution into the pipette. I can't analyze anything without it. Okay, I'm filling...
J'ai fait ça tout à l'heure, ça m'a rien indiqué.
Down very carefully.
De solution chimique sur le coton-tige.
Let's see what we have here. No blood. Not the slightest reaction. If I didn't make a mistake, and it wasn't that difficult, then the spot on the Baroness's bed isn't really blood. But if it isn't blood, what is it? And more importantly, why didn't Dr. Gebhardt notice anything? He was supposed to have examined everything. I'd say it's time to visit the medical center.
Bon bah allons nous rendre vers la suite. Là c'est un peu plus long parce qu'il y a plus de choses à faire. Il faut aller à l'infirmerie.
It seems impossible that Dr. Gebhardt could have shot the Baroness. He was with me when the gunshot ran out, but he must have noticed that the Baroness was lying in a pool of fake blood. Maybe he's covering for someone. Let's find out.
Et toujours là, chaise roulante.
For emergencies, in case a passenger falls down and can't walk anymore, possibly due to rough seas, or maybe the captain's well-stocked bar. The sink looks like it's been cleaned recently. I can't say whether it was cleaned to comply with the hygiene regulations or whether there was another reason.
Il y a d'autres trucs. Ah. Qu'à fouiller là.
I guess the trash bin is in here. Right. Paper towels, plastic packaging, cartons, and... Hold on. What's this? A burst rubber glove. It's knotted, and there's a red liquid all over the inside that looks like blood. I bet good money that it's the same fake blood I found in the Baroness's cabin.
Ok, ah, il y a un magnétophone. Ah, est-ce qu'on peut écouter la bobine qu'on veut?
A tape recorder from Sibling. Interesting. The reel in the Baroness's cabin is from the same company. A microphone was plugged into the tape recorder. Maybe Dr. Gebhardt records the results of his examinations and writes them down later.
Est-ce qu'on peut utiliser la bobine que j'ai sur le magnétophone? Non, pas du tout.
The player
Peut-être les...
is rather basic. Simple, sturdy, practical.
Wow.
The player is rather...
Les caoutchoucs.
Dr. Gebhardt will have trouble explaining how rubber gloves full of fake blood got into his trash bin. First, the fake blood he missed in the Baroness's cabin, and now this. It doesn't look good for you, Doctor.
Ah, ok, on pouvait fouiller le tiroir.
Interesting. A tape on a reel. The reel belongs to a much better player, like the one from the Baroness's cabin. I can't be certain that this is the reel that was missing from the Baroness's cabin, but it seems quite likely.
On va l'écouter. Il va nous tomber dessus encore.
Nothing strange. There. Very interesting.
Ah, il a enregistré un faux bruit de... Ah, il a peut-être enregistré le faux bruit dans la soute. Donc on a un faux bruit dans le machin et la petite...
Time to pay Legrand a visit.
Ok. On a quelques infos. Oula.
No. No, don't.
Ok, on a fait l'épisode 1. Ah. C'est le chapitre 1, d'accord. On vient de finir le chapitre 1. Donc là, on est... Donc le docteur, il est dans le coup, peut-être?
Why couldn't you just leave it be? Let me go.
Il est un peu drogué, donc...
Why are you doing this to me? You and the Baroness. Dr. Gebhardt, I don't know. understand what you are forcing me to do? You don't have to. It is almost over. You won't feel a thing. I am sorry you have to see all this. I should have used more chloroform.
Et il a mis où le corps de la...
Chloroform. Still partly numb. A pair of scissors.
Prenons les ciseaux. On va le planter.
Enough of that, Mr. Zellner. Soon it will all be behind you. I am sorry you have to see all this.
D'accord, ok, nous...
Pair of already. Enough.
Faut que je fasse quoi là? J'ai pas capté là. En fait là, ça me fait recommencer en fait ça.
I am already. Enough of that, Mr. Zellner. Soon it will all be behind you.
Et je dois faire quoi?
I am sorry you have to see all this. I should have used more chloroform.
Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire?
A pair of scissors. All
Et pourquoi?
I am
Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
a pair of scissors. All still
Ah, faut peut-être lui parler.
have you. Mr. Turner, what are you doing back there? Well, no matter.
Peut-être lui parler au début.
I am sorry you have to see.
Oui, c'est fini.
Chloroform? I had it in my bag, just in case. You were supposed to be asleep. I am not a monster, you know? I have nothing against you. Nothing at all. But what can I do? You forced my hand. It's your fault. Yours alone. On and on.
Lors de la barre.
Why did the Baroness have to snoop around? Why did you have to snoop around? And that glove there. You want to plant evidence on me, yeah? I left no evidence. There is no trail. And yet you can't just leave me in peace, can you? On and on.
Quel est son nom?
What next? Heart failure happens a lot at your age, especially given your background. I am still considering whether I should throw you overboard. Don't leave evidence. No evidence. But what if I'm seen? My plan was perfect. And then you ruined everything. A pair of scissors.
Que j'ai pas pour y revenir. Libérer. D'accord. Il n'y avait pas d'indication.
Take it easy, Mr. Zellner. Shall we begin? It's almost...
Ah mais attends, il faut appuyer vite sur ce machin. Ah d'accord, on recommence du truc. Ah, ah putain, il y avait un autre truc.
Shall we begin?
Là.
It's almost over. I will... Are you okay?
Ok. C'est qui là cette fois-ci? Est-ce que c'était... C'est le grand?
Thanks.
A wet towel works miracles. I told you so.
Out with it then. What were you doing down there?
Inspector, at least let the constable recover his breath.
He almost killed himself.
Me? No. Dr. Gebhardt would have taken care of that for me. Where is he?
Gebhardt? He's vanished without a trace. We're searching the ship from top to bottom.
One at a time. Tell me, Zellner, what did you find out?
Dr. Gebhardt killed Baroness von Trebitz.
Impossible.
Do you have proof?
Besides the fact that he wanted to kill me?
But wasn't the doctor with you when the shot was fired?
La bande audio.
The shot that we heard was a recording. The Baroness had a tape recorder and good speakers in her cabin. Good enough to make the noise audible on the upper deck.
Is that just your suspicion, or do you have proof?
Bande audio à l'infirmerie.
An audio tape in the medical center. The reel belongs to the tape player in the Baroness's cabin. And there's a sibling reel in her cabin that belongs to the recorder in the medical center. He recorded it in the cargo hold. His tape recorder has a microphone, and I removed a bullet from one of the boxes down there.
And it came from the murder weapon?
All right.
Inspector Legrand.
Let's pretend you're onto something. The shot we heard was just a recording. What happened next?
We all ran to the Baroness's cabin. She lay comatose in a pool of blood. Dr. Gebhardt pushed past you so that you couldn't get too close to the Baroness. He examined her and pronounced her dead. There was no reason for us to doubt him. The shot, the blood, the Baroness lying there lifelessly. But she was only unconscious, knocked out by the chloral hydrate that the doctor had poured into her glass shortly before.
The doctor had a glass in his hand when you came in.
He wanted to remove the evidence, but you gave me the glass instead, Captain DeConti, and unintentionally knocked me out as well.
Nonsense. There was blood everywhere, and the Baroness is certainly dead enough, isn't she?
Then who did shoot her? And when?
Elle a été droguée. Elle n'a pas été abattue, elle a été droguée. Parce qu'en fait, on a vu que s'il n'y avait pas de sang.
She wasn't shot, she was poisoned.
And yet I saw the hole in her chest with my own eyes.
Aha!
She must have been shot.
Well, ingenious. Where was she shot?
En l'infirmerie.
I already said it was Dr. Gebhardt. He had the sleeping Baroness brought to the medical center, where he had all the time in the world to shoot her.
A fine theory, but unfortunately incorrect. I examined the Baroness before she was taken away. She had a bullet wound in her chest.
Okay.
Besides which, she was already cold when we brought her to the medical center.
All the same, it's worth considering the possibility. The doctor was alone in the cabin for a while. When the alarm went off, it was deafening. I couldn't even hear myself.
And I found a pillow with burn marks. Could have been used to muffle a gunshot.
And the blood?
The blood wasn't real. Dr. Gebhardt mixed up a liquid that looked like fresh blood to the casual observer, but the liquid remained red instead of becoming darker and browner from exposure to the air. That meant he had to clean the body and get rid of the bedding.
But the blood was already there when we first entered the cabin.
Dr. Gebhardt was in the Baroness's cabin before the murder. He hid a surgical glove full of the red liquid under her sheet. The Baroness, dead tired, fell onto her bed, the glove burst, and the blood spread across the bed. I found the burst glove in the medical center.
But why did he do it? What was his motive?
Inspector?
On va que spéculer.
I can only speculate. The Baroness spent the day rummaging through her old family photos.
No.
Do you have anything to contribute, Constable?
Confession, sir. Dr. Gebhardt was the Raven. It's all here. He admits to everything.
What does it say?
It says, "Do you still remember, my dear Nico? The streets were wet with rain, and the scent of roasted barley and fermenting yeast wafted over to us from the brewery. A dog barked until your shot struck down the innocent one. After that silence, not a single sound except for my soft steps fading on the wet cobblestone street. They made a hero of you, and I, at last, found peace. At least until the urge returned. Some of us are not made for retirement, my friend. I thought they would assign this case to you, and that thought pleased me. We'd finally find out who was truly the better man. And it pains me now to have to admit that you and your little gumshoe got the better of me. You drove me into a corner, forced me to make mistakes. I congratulate you on your triumph. But no one will confine the Raven to a cage. There is but one way out, and that is by my own hand. Farewell, Raven Hunter R.
Inspector Legrand.
Ah ok, j'ai fait correctement. D'accord.
Inspector?
I was right. I told them all, over and over again. But no one would listen.
You think that Dr. Gebhardt was really the Raven?
The things Gebhardt describes in his letter aren't part of any police report. Only someone who was there would know them.
Couldn't there have been others involved? One of the police, for instance. What if one of them changed sides?
Why is it so hard for you to accept the simple truth? There was never a new Raven. There was only ever an old one. And that was Dr. Gebhardt.
The modus operandi doesn't match. The Raven was not a killer.
Legends are rarely what they seem to be, Constable.
Peut-être changer son mode opératoire.
Then who was the man who was killed back then?
William Jackson, a petty thief, committed some burglaries together with his brother. Talented, but not world-class.
And they thought he was the Raven.
Some people thought it was part of his disguise. If you're a debonair master thief, what better disguise than pretending to be a common crook? From time to time you let them catch you pulling small jobs, and no one ever imagines you're capable of a major heist.
But you didn't believe it.
I had my doubts, but everyone congratulated me, and those doubts were pushed aside. It was like being caught in a storm, but eventually the storm passed and my doubts were still there.
But not this time? No doubts telling you that Gebhardt isn't our man?
It must be him.
La lettre. Qu'est-ce que...
What about the handwriting, the wording? Does the farewell letter match the Raven's other letters?
Yes, it's his handwriting, his words. I've read all the Raven's letters, all of them, over and over again.
I never thought it was possible. A resurrected Raven.
The Raven was never dead. I shot the wrong man.
Voilà.
But that man had the stolen goods, didn't he? So he must have been in league with the Raven. One could hardly call him innocent. Where do we go from here?
We deliver the eye and then I'll contact Paris. A task force will compare all of Gebhardt's known residences with the Raven's activity.
And if there are any inconsistencies?
You're welcome to keep an eye on the safe if you can't let it go. The ship will remain in Cairo for 1 day. That's all the time you'll have to catch your own Raven. I already have mine.
Ah, dans un nouvel endroit.
Ah, you're one of Legrand's men, aren't you?
My name is Anton Jakob Zellner.
You've come just in time. Grace, my dachshund is missing.
There may be more important matters for me to attend to, Mr.
Director Abbas Mokhtar. And Grace isn't just a common dog. She's a purebred German dachshund, a champion.
D'accord. Vol de l'œil.
So, the exhibition will still open tonight.
But of course, everything has been arranged. The final preparations are almost complete.
But one of the two exhibits won't be there.
A terrible loss, a tragedy. That irreplaceable Egyptian cultural treasure has been stolen for the second time.
The second time?
What? Did you really believe that the eye of the Sphinx was found lying on the banks of the Thames?
Ok, Inspecteur Legrand.
Inspector Legrand, Professor Lucien, and Constable Oliver are overseeing the transportation of the safe. They should be here at any moment. I'll have a look around in the meantime.
Do you think that's necessary? The Raven is dead, after all.
If you mean Dr. Gebhardt, his body was never recovered. Nor the stolen eye of the Sphinx, for that matter.
It does us a great honor that the Inspector is concerned about us. But we have everything under control.
Legrand isn't as concerned as he should be. But I am. Is the museum closed?
Yes. Only carefully selected guests may enter the museum during preparations for the gala. And of course, you're one of them, Mr. Constable.
Système de sécurité, est-ce qu'il marche sur le système?
Can you tell me about the museum's security system?
One of the best on the market. And the second eye will still be exhibited in our special treasure chamber, which is extra secure.
Treasure chamber?
See for yourself, to the right of the entrance. The eye is as safe as the British crown jewels.
Ok.
I think
On va
I'll
rentrer.
have a look around the museum.
Please do. There's a lot to see. And you let me know if you see Grace, won't you? I hope we find her before the great inspector arrives. Isn't it fantastic how he solved the murder on the ship?
Legrand?
Of course. It's in all the newspapers. The murder of the wealthy Baroness von Trebitz, and how the great Inspector Legrand identified the murderer in just one day. It's the stuff legends are made of. You should count yourself lucky to have a chance to learn from him.
Il manque à tout fait, mais bon. Les journaux disent un peu de la merde, mais bon.
What exactly do the newspapers say?
Everything. It's fantastic. Someone on board must have informed the press immediately. Of course, it's a great advertising for us. The reporters will queue up tonight.
And it was reported that Legrand found the murderer.
Of course. Who else?
Well, I wasn't exactly uninvolved.
Of course. Legrand surely has assistants. But honor to he who deserves to be honored. Right?
Well then.
Ouais, le poudré, on va...
Grace! Here, Gracie. My sweetheart.
Oh.
Where are you?
Oh, Mr. Inch.
Mr. Inch. There you are. I am so sorry. Baroness von Trebitz was a good-hearted woman. She did so much for the museum.
As you say, sir.
And you? Are you leaving so soon?
I'd like to go back to my hotel. These last days have been such a strain.
First, you sneak into the museum without greeting me, and then you want to leave just as quickly?
I didn't want to disturb you, and we'll have time enough tonight.
Yes, you simply must come tonight. I wanted to present Baroness von Trebitz with a medal. Now you'll have to accept it.
Of course. If you insist, sir.
The Baroness paid for all this. Without her, there wouldn't have been an exhibition or a gala.
She was very generous.
Yes, she was.
If you'll excuse me now. Constable Zellner, I want to thank you again for all you've done. You saved me, you could say.
My pleasure. See you tonight.
Et c'est faufilé là-dedans. Ils sont tous de mèche en fait. À la fin, on va apprendre qu'ils sont tous de mèche. C'est quoi donc ici? Salle de garde. Tiens. C'est une personne qui surveille ou...
Locked.
Ah non mais c'est Miss Miller, d'accord, j'étais en train de dire qui c'est qui surveille là.
Miss Miller, I'm glad to see you here.
Oh, Constable Zellner. I heard what happened to you on board. Awful. Truly awful.
All's well that ends well. You are waiting for Professor Lucien?
Mm-hmm.
Ok, croisière sur le Nil.
You'll be sailing down the Nile, if I heard correctly.
That's right. I'm sure it will be an amazing experience.
But you don't seem to be very excited.
Oh, but I am. It's very generous of Lady Westmacott to invite me, and especially Maddie. He'll learn a lot.
But?
Well, Professor Lucien offered to join us.
Then Matt will learn even more. And I'm sure it won't be unpleasant for you either.
No, I just don't know how Maddie would react if Edgar came with us.
I understand. I could test the water to see how he'd feel about it.
Would you do that? Oh, thank you, Constable Zellner.
Professeur Lucien.
Were you able to find out why Professor Lucien left the forecastle so suddenly last night?
No, not really. We only had a brief conversation. He was still very nervous.
He was like that on the train as well. Seems to be typical of him.
It must be something to do with the burglary at the museum. It really affected him. But he told me not to worry about anything. He said, soon this would all be over.
Really? How did he mean that?
Oh, I didn't ask him, Constable.
Ils sont tous un peu suspects, que ça soit le Inch, le majordome, quoi. Ça a l'air d'être... Ils sont un peu tous suspects. Même le Lucien, là, il est un peu bizarre.
Oh, yes, we arrived as a group. David Kreutzer, the violinist, was with us. So were Miss Myers and Mr. Inch. He seems to have gotten over the death of the Baroness pretty quickly. He seems positively relaxed.
I've met him. He looks on the bright side of life, so to speak. Where is Mr. Kreutzer?
He's over in the treasure chamber. Maddie is downstairs in the main hall. I'm afraid I'll hear the sound of something priceless any second.
Matt will be careful, Miss Miller. I'll continue my tour of the museum.
Oh, yes, there's so much to see.
Eh bien, malheureusement, hop, on va sauvegarder pour la deuxième fois de la soirée pour... Je peux... Alors attends. Je crois que j'ai pas sauvegardé comme il faut. Je vais sauvegarder là-haut. Ça c'était dehors, ça c'est là. Ok, ça a sauvegardé ici. L'impression c'est les mêmes. Bon. Ok, on retourne au menu principal. On va s'arrêter là. Ok, là on a avancé sur le truc du bateau, donc en fait, on apprend qui est vraiment... Là on sait, là on vient de passer au deuxième chapitre, il y a 3 chapitres. Donc là, on sait vraiment qui est réellement le corbeau, c'était le docteur, qui était là depuis le début. C'est vrai que dans le train, on avait l'air... Il avait l'air de pas beaucoup bouger. Et sur la fin, le personnage ressemblait beaucoup le steward faisait penser au... Ou alors le steward était aussi il a peut-être plusieurs, comment dire, plusieurs complices. Est-ce que le professeur Lucien il fait partie des complices? Est-ce que... Parce qu'il a l'air un peu bizarre. Ou alors il est peut-être... il essaye de cacher quelque chose. Il y a quoi d'autre? Il y a qui d'autre qui est un peu bizarre? Il y a Inch. Là d'un coup il s'est remis. Baronne. Est-ce qu'il était pas avec le docteur? Et qu'en fait c'est lui qui a tué la baronne pendant qu'il était sûr. En fait il lui a donné un truc, elle était complètement truc, elle s'est tombée et il a tout préparé pour faire en sorte que le docteur peut-être puisse la battre par après, ou par avant, ou pendant, parce que apparemment Ils ont découvert elle avait déjà un trou dans la poitrine au moment du truc. On s'est aperçu qu'il y avait un son enregistré de tir. Ils ont enregistré, et le son a été enregistré dans la soute pendant qu'on s'est fait attraper. Et ensuite, ils ont sorti le son sur la bobine pour faire en sorte que faire croire peut-être qu'elle était morte comme ça. Il y a un truc étrange dans comment ça a été mis en place. Voilà. Déjà, il y a le trou dans la poitrine avant que... Bref. Donc ça a peut-être été fait pendant. Ou alors, vu qu'on avait le... C'est vrai que pourquoi il y avait le... Comment ça s'appelle le coussin pour atténuer le son. Ah, peut-être pour faire croire qu'elle était... Est-ce que c'est le majordome qui l'a tué, il est sorti, paf, il a fait croire que... Il a tiré dessus pour faire un trou. Peut-être tué. Peut-être il y a un truc, du moins dans cet ordre-là, c'est là que le jeu devient intéressant. C'est toujours rigolo, les trucs policiers, parce que les petites séries d'enquêtes comme ça, c'est toujours à chercher à dire « Ah, c'est peut-être lui, c'est peut-être lui ». Alors, je trouve là c'est plus rigolo parce que on nous donne pas tous les éléments, il y a des trucs qui arrivent pas. Alors que dans les films ou les séries, on nous donne toujours un élément. Là, on nous a dit qui est le corbeau et comment il a réussi à s'échapper là. Là, c'est encore plus intéressant. Comment il s'est échappé du bateau, où il est à ce moment-là, parce qu'il ne trouve pas dans le bateau. Comment il a réussi à choper. Là, on nous montre pas, c'est pas comme dans les Colombo où on sait qui c'est, et en fait, on attend juste que Colombo trouve la bonne personne, quoi. Dans les Colombo, on voit direct, ils ont joué sur le fait, alors qu'avant, ce qu'ils faisaient, c'est qu'ils donnaient pas d'indices. Ils jouaient comme ça, mais on avait toujours les indices qui étaient donnés très rapidement. Là, on a mis du temps quand même pour le savoir. Mais bon, c'est comme ça. On verra la suite. Là, on est donc au Caire, donc on est au musée. Donc on va il va y avoir peut-être encore un truc qui va se passer. On est au chapitre 2, il y a 3 chapitres, donc on vient de finir le premier chapitre. Et il y a 3 chapitres. Donc là, on attaque le 2. On va voir comment ça va être. Il va y avoir encore des épisodes là. Là, je pense qu'au prochain, peut-être, on avance dans le deuxième chapitre. Est-ce qu'on finit peut-être? Il y aura le 3e. Où je pense qu'on va aller vers l'arrestation du vrai corbeau. Pardon, on avait... là, c'est bien ce qui s'est passé, c'est que l'inspecteur Legrand a tué un complice, ou un innocent, un complice, du vrai corbeau, et les médias et tout ce qui s'ensuit ont décidé que c'était le corbeau, qu'il avait abattu, donc voilà, mais qu'en fait... Non, le corbeau était toujours dans la nature, il a dû attendre et changer son mode opératoire. Au lieu de jouer les cambrioleurs, il commence à buter des gens. Voilà. Voilà. Donc voilà pour cet épisode. Je vous remercie de m'avoir suivi et je vous donne rendez-vous au prochain. Allez, salut à tous.